Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. This week we are asking the what-ifs of love. We began with surprise, then we talked about the risk of hurt. Today's question may be one of the most human ones. What if I'm not ready? That thought can rise up quietly when love starts getting close. It may not sound dramatic, and it may not even sound afraid at first. It can sound practical, almost reasonable. I still have too much to work through. I'm not who I want to be yet. I need to get myself together first. There's one I've used many times. There is truth in wanting to grow. None of us should use love as an excuse to avoid healing, honesty, or responsibility. If we know there are places in us that need attention, then we should pay attention. But I also wonder how many people spend their lives waiting to be finished before they allow themselves to be loved. And what a long wait that can become. Because human beings are never quite finished. We keep learning, we keep healing in layers, we keep discovering old fears in new rooms. Readiness can become a moving target. Every time we get closer, fear can move the line just a little further away. Maybe love is not waiting for us to become flawless. Maybe love meets us while the work is still in progress. I say maybe, but I mean, that's the way it is. That does not mean love ignores our wounds. Good love does not pretend everything is fine when something needs care. But it also does not demand that we become perfect before we're worthy of tenderness. There's a difference between being unfinished and being unlovable. I think many of us have confused those two things. We look at the places where we still struggle and decide they disqualify us. We imagine that if another person knew the whole story, they'd step back. So we try to become easier to love before we let love get close. The trouble is, real love was never meant to meet only the polished version. The polished version may be pleasant, but it's not the whole person. The real person gets tired. The real person has history. The real person sometimes needs patience, forgiveness, and room to grow. That is the one who needs love most. There's something deeply tender about being met in the middle of becoming. Not rescued and not fixed by someone else, but met. A person comes close enough to see that we're still learning, and they don't treat that as a reason to leave. They don't deny the hard parts. They simply believe the hard parts are not the whole truth. That kind of love can be difficult to receive, especially if we're used to earning our place. Some people learned early that affection was connected to performance. Be easy, be useful, be cheerful. Don't need too much. Do not make anyone uncomfortable. Then love arrives without that bargain, and the heart doesn't always know what to do with it. We may test it. We may doubt it. We may keep waiting for the condition to appear. Real love can feel suspicious when we have mostly known love with strings attached. So when someone cares for us while we're still becoming, it may take time to trust it. That is all right. Love that is patient enough to be real doesn't need to rush every door open. It can stand gently nearby. It can allow fear to speak without letting fear control the whole relationship. It can give us time to understand that being known does not always lead to being rejected. I think that's one of love's quiet miracles. It helps us tell a new story about ourselves. Not a fantasy story where we have to or we have no flaws, but a truer story. One where our wounds matter, but they're not our name. One where our past shaped us, but does not own every page ahead. One where we are still responsible for how we live, but not condemned to remain as we have been. That's a different kind of hope. The kind that does not say you are already everything that you need to be. It says you are worth walking with while you grow. There may be no sentence more healing than that, because so many people are afraid that they will be loved only at their best, loved only when they are easy, loved only when their pain is quiet enough not to disturb anyone else. But life doesn't stay easy. Pain doesn't always stay quiet. If love is going to matter, it has to have room for real seasons. The confused season, the rebuilding season, the season where someone is trying, but they're not there yet. We should still be honest in those seasons. Love is not a permission slip for carelessness. If we're hurting people, we need to face that. If we're avoiding truth, love may call us back to it. But love can call without shaming. It can tell the truth without turning the person into a failure. It can see the work ahead and still hold tenderness for the one doing the work. That may be what makes it different from fear. Fear points at our unfinished places and says, hide! Love looks at those same places and says, begin. Begin healing. Begin trusting. Begin telling the truth. Begin believing that the person you are becoming, deserves light along the way, not only at the end. I like that thought, because the end may never come in the clean way that we imagine. We may always carry a little uncertainty. We may always have tender spots. And we can always need grace from some form. What does not make us unsuitable for love is that very thing. That it doesn't. It makes us human. And maybe love at its best is where our humanity is allowed to breathe, not excused from growth, and not protected from responsibility, allowed to breathe. So if the question today is, what if I'm not ready? Maybe the answer is not to force ourselves forward before we are wise enough to move. Maybe the answer is gentler than that. Be honest about where you are. Keep doing the work that belongs to you. And don't assume that being unfinished means that you must stand outside love until you become someone else. Love may already be near. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you it is. It's not asking you to pretend and not asking you to perform. Simply inviting you to bring the real self into the light, one honest step at a time. And I know guys, that is scary. But guess what? It's also beautiful. Because there's a special kind of freedom in discovering that we can be known and still be loved. Known in our awkwardness, known in our uncertainty, and known while the paint is still wet and the story is still being written. That kind of love does not make the work disappear either. It makes the work less lonely. And maybe that's enough for today. Maybe we don't have to be completely ready. Maybe we only have to be willing to tell the truth, receive care without running from it, and keep becoming with a little more courage than yesterday. Thank you guys. Thank you for spending this time with me on Infinite Threads. I know I repeat quite often. These thoughts come and they just spell out. And a lot of times it's repeats because they need to be said. Today's What If asks something tender of us. What if I'm not ready? Maybe love's answer is not come back when you are finished. Maybe it's more like, let's begin from here. I love you guys very, very much. And if you can share this out, I really appreciate it. But what you can do for me most of all is go out and pass that love on, okay? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.
Every story, every voice, in this love we all rejoice. Infinite threads, here we go. Welcome.